an author, a man of sobriety. Mike D. in the studio to share with us his fourth book called Basic Prayer and Simple Meditation.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Good afternoon. It's a gorgeous day. We're glad to have you here on this edition of Restoring Hope Live. Lila Stafford along with Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. That's right. If you want to participate in this conversation, but you don't want your voice heard or you're just uncomfortable with that by calling in, we do have call-in lines, 515-244-0077. So if you just want to make a comment, you can jump on our website at webcast1, O-N-E, webcast1live.com, and put a comment in the chat. We don't track your name. You do have to sign up, but we don't do anything with that. I'll tell you what, if you ever get an email from anything at this radio station or this website that is spam or anything like that, and you know it came from here, I want to know exactly, and I want to know right away. I can tell you that in 6 years that's never happened because I just don't do that. It's my responsibility, and I'm telling you, we don't sell them off. So don't be afraid to enter your email in there. And so you can give us a comment on the chat. Or phone lines are open at 515-244-0077. Restoring Hope Live, brought to you by the good folks at Powell CDC and Unity Point. It's nice to have you back, Lila. You've been gone for 3 weeks.
I don't know. It feels like forever.
But you had a nice vacation?
Yeah, I've had several at that time.
Several of them. Good. Well, I appreciated the one. Was that a photograph you took from the steps of your cabin?
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Beautiful? I know.
I mean, mountains, rolling brooks.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It was just like it was a postcard.
Just right outside my brother's house.
Wow. Right outside my house is Hickman Drive. So I don't get to see that. How about you, Mike? How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
How long have you been sober?
I've been sober 27 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And you have shared many of your experiences in sobriety and otherwise in now 3 books.
Yes.
First book, Letting God In. Second, or what was that? Which was first?
The first book was The Healing Rosary.
All right. First was The Healing Rosary. I'm assuming you're Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was Letting God In, and I think you were on a couple years ago and we talked about that book.
Yeah.
And your new one is Basic Prayer and Simple Meditation. A recovering alcoholic talks about beginning spirituality. Beginning spirituality. That's interesting. Yeah, you've been sober since January 24th, 1988. Book of several authors. And we're just happy to have you here. If you want to get a hold of Mike, by the way, you can call him here on the phone, or you can send Bob via the chat your email address, and I can give your email address here out, the Gmail one.
Not that one.
Not that one.
I have another one that I should have wrote down there.
Okay, well, we'll get you to write that down later on, and we'll hear about that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your story. When did you first taste alcohol?
Oh, I was probably 15.
And what made you, or not made you, what put you in a circumstance where you were going to decide alcohol?
What put me in a circumstance that made me want to drink?
Yeah.
The first time I took a drink, it worked.
Okay. And
it worked. It changed my perception of everything. It changed my perception of me. It made the world look better. It made everybody around me look better. It just worked.
Everybody gets good looking at closing time.
Until you wake up.
And there was nobody better looking than me.
Yeah.
At closing time.
Where did that alcohol come from that first time at 15?
From my parents that first time.
Okay. It just was always around the house?
It was there.
All right.
It was available, and they were gone.
And were they regular drinkers?
Not too regular, no.
So you would not perceive them as alcoholic?
No, not my family.
Okay.
No.
And what was your drink of choice at 15?
Oh, it was just beer.
Just beer?
Yeah, it was just beer. That was what was there.
All right.
Were you getting drunk at 15 or just kind of...
Yeah, the first time I ever drank, I drank till I got drunk. Yeah.
Did you ever get blackouts? Go into blackouts?
I wasn't normally a blackout drinker, but I have had a few in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of the people around you wish you were a blackout.
Probably
drinker.
a few.
Yeah, I can resemble that remark.
Blacked out or passed out.
Yeah. And so at 15, you tried your first drink of a beer. You liked it. How often did you drink after that?
Well, it was usually I ran around with some other school friends, and we always found a way to get beer back in those days. You know, it was there was places we could buy it,
Well,
or get people to buy it for us.
I was going to say, it wasn't hard back then to find a
No.
local retailer to sell you a six-pack of beer.
No, that
no
was
matter what age you were.
Or
in
even to get a fake ID. I mean, you could make your own. Back in the day, you could make your own IDs on the back of a check. You know,
I didn't know this.
Yeah, and then it was very easy.
Back then, what IDs were paper?
They were,
And they had no
They
picture
were
on 'em.
laminated. They were laminated.
Okay.
But it looked like the back of a check, and so that's what they used to just kind of type them up themselves and then laminate them. And if you're in a dark place, you can just kind of show
Yeah.
someone quickly. I didn't do it, but other people did.
Well, we get a lot of fake IDs to this day, even with the electronic ones. And it's amazing. You know, technology comes, okay, now we're going to have a picture. Now we're going to have a barcode. Now we're going to people figure out how to beat them just
Yeah.
right down
Yeah.
the line.
Yeah.
So you'd get somebody to buy beer for you. You'd get somebody to give you whatever. The beer was always available.
Yeah, it was never a problem getting alcohol.
And would you say that you spent most of your high school years drinking daily, weekly?
I almost didn't graduate
Oh my!
because we were cutting classes and drinking during the day, and then we were drinking at night. We were drinking on the weekends.
Are you
were-
from Des Moines?
Yeah. Yes, I'm
And
from
it,
Des Moines.
and it wasn't about the drinking; it was about the the fun you were having while you drank.
Yes, of course it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was about the, for me, unlike the rest of the guys that I ran with, for me it was about, it made me feel large and in charge.
Okay.
You know, I don't think they got that reaction.
The other guys.
The other guys, I don't really think they got that, but I sure did.
So it
know.
really changed the way you saw yourself. You identified with being drunk. Drinking.
I just knew how I felt when I drank, so I drank as often as I could.
All right, let's ask this question. What did you feel like when you were drinking? You said large and in charge.
Yeah,
You were the boss. You were the best looking guy in the room.
I felt like I had the world by the tail.
Debonair, sexy,
Yeah.
every woman's dream.
Any of my inner fears and anxieties immediately went away after about one or two beers.
So when you weren't drinking, you felt the opposite of that. Is that right?
Yes, yes, I did.
Yeah.
I was always a kind of a scaredy guy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Inside, I didn't openly display that, but inside I was always afraid of people, places, and things.
Yeah.
You know, and when I had a couple beers, that leveled all that out. It
Inhibitions
just pushed it all out of the way.
Yeah.
So you got liquid courage.
I did get liquid courage.
When was the first time you remember some consequence from drinking too much? I'm not saying you knew it was a problem yet, but I got in trouble, got pulled over, my mom and dad got mad, I lost a job, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. When did I really suffer a consequence?
Yeah, your first consequence.
Oh, I got thrown in jail a couple times, but
Was that because you were drunk or because you were acting large and in charge?
it was well, the first time I went to jail, me and two other buddies stole some beer off of a beer truck,
Oh my.
and we got away with 2 cases.
Well, apparently you didn't get away with it because
and
they caught you.
We got about 100 feet.
Okay, well, you got almost
and
away.
we got arrested, and I was glad that there was a police officer there because the beer truck driver was really mad.
I'll bet.
Yeah, because that would have come out of his pocket.
Yeah, that was his inventory.
That was his inventory.
Now,
And
those were the days. Was those the days you had to walk in to the beer truck, or had they figured out how to raise the sides yet?
they had the sides that went up, and he
Okay.
was unloading, and he was leaving his doors open as he was wheeling the beer into Dahl's store.
I bet he didn't do that after that.
I bet he didn't either.
And so you grabbed a couple cases. You got about 100 feet. The cops saw you.
Cop saw us
Stopped ya.
because some people in a residential area saw us out there and called us,
Okay.
called in on us.
And do you remember what the social, police, criminal, whatever it was, consequence you faced?
Oh, we went to jail that day, and then they released us after we'd went before Judge Glanton. That tells you how long ago that was.
There you go.
Judge Luther Glanton. We got a severe talking to by Judge Glanton.
And how old are you here? Are you 17, 18?
I'm 18.
Okay. Wasn't that legal age to buy in Iowa at that time?
No, it was not.
No, okay. All right, so, but that really scared you. I bet you never drank again, right?
It didn't scare me from drinking again, but it scared me from stealing beer again.
So you never stole beer again?
We did not do that
Good
trick,
lesson.
trick again.
Good
We stayed out of the court system after that.
So never an OWI, never.
Yes, I did have an OWI
Later on,
Yeah,
okay.
in my 30s.
All right, so you stopped stealing beer, but you kept drinking it.
Kept drinking it. Yeah.
Did you go from beer to liquor at any point?
Oh yes.
Oh, yes.
And that really put me on the fast track. Yeah, because the way I drank a beer with a shot on the side,
Okay.
and then it switched to I was drinking whiskey with a beer on the side, and the beer was just kind of for appearances.
Okay.
Basically, I was drinking whiskey in the last 5 years of
Drinking.
drinking. Yeah.
Oh, okay, now I got to ask you this. So 27 years ago, we are at 1990. About. That would be 15 years. So 1988.
I got sober in 88.
88. All right. And so the last 5 years you were drinking beer on the side and regular whiskey?
Yeah.
You said something that I have to ask. What, the beer was for appearance.
I really wasn't focused on the beer. At the latter part of my drinking, I was basically drinking whiskey all the time, and I would order a beer to have it sitting there, and I would drink the beer too. But basically, if I was in a bar, I was there to drink whiskey.
All right. So before you'd have a shot of whiskey and a beer, would it take you the whole beer to drink the shot of whiskey?
No.
No, you'd have more than one shot of whiskey during that beer.
Yeah, the shots would just keep on coming.
So when you switched from whiskey on the side to beer on the side, how many shots of whiskey did you go through for every beer you had?
I didn't count them.
Maybe all night. One, maybe two.
Yeah, I did not count.
Were you a bar stool drinker?
I was, but I was also a home drinker.
Home drinker. Okay.
Yeah, I was also a home drinker.
And
I got to the point where I was a morning drinker for a couple of years.
the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that to help from the night before?
Yeah, the
Recuperate?
first thing I had to do, because I was always shaking so bad, I just had to take a drink of whiskey, and then of course how the allergy works. You take a drink of whiskey to keep my hands from shaking, and then I got to take another drink of whiskey and another drink of whiskey. So I was usually pretty well bombed by 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
Not where, but what was your profession?
what was my profession?
Yeah.
Electrical line work.
Okay. Ooh. Like climbing poles?
Yeah. That industry, yes.
And you were drunk?
I was a groundman on a line crew.
Groundman. Okay.
I was a groundman working with linemen on a line crew.
So you got to stay on the ground.
Most of the time, yeah.
Good thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up on our first break, great guest today, Mike D. He's written 3 books. The first was The Healing Rosary, and the second was Letting God In, One Alcoholic to Another. And his new book is Basic Prayer and Simple Meditation. A recovering alcoholic talks about beginning spirituality. We're going to get to that part real quickly. We'll find out where his end was, where his bottom was, and then talking about that spirituality that he's found. Mike D's my guest. Lila's here. Frank's here. Bob's here. I'm here. And more importantly, you're here. Thanks for listening to The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
21 minutes after 2 o'clock, we thank you for being here. Mike D. is my guest, 27 years sober, telling his story. He's got 3 books that you can buy. The first, written a few years ago, is The Healing Rosary. Then he wrote Letting God In. And his third book is Basic Prayer and Simple Meditation. A recovering alcoholic talks about beginning spirituality. Should people email you at the Gmail address if they want questions or to get a book?
Yes, they can email me at that address.
Mike.d.anonymous@gmail.com. Mike.d.anonymous@gmail.com. Are the books in any bookstores or anything yet?
Yes, they're in bookstores, and if you go to your local bookstore and they don't happen to have it on their shelf, they will definitely order it for you. Okay. It's available. And it's on Amazon.com. I'm sorry.
What motivated you to write this third book?
This book came out of so many years of seeing and hearing people say, you know, I've worked all the steps, but I have a hard time working all of step 11 because I just can't get that meditation stuff down. Just can't get it. It's confusing and I don't understand it. That's what I would hear all the time.
How would you answer that?
I would answer it that it's a lot simpler and a lot easier than you think it is.
Now, you've got 12 chapters. And do the chapters reflect the 12 steps, or do there just happen to be 12 chapters?
There just happen to be 12 chapters.
All right. And so Spiritual Kindergarten is chapter 1. Why We Pray is chapter 2. Chapter 3 is Prayer in Action. Chapter 4, Why Do I Pray? 5 is Hidden in Plain View. What's that mean, hidden in plain view?
That whenever I've given talks, I've talked about this. And what I mean by that is that you may think that meditation is a mystery that you have to uncover, but it's right out in plain sight in front of you. It's inside you. The ability to meditate is inside you. It's part of your God-given humanity, and it's just something that we haven't usually developed.
What is your definition of meditation?
Basically, to spend time with my mind and heart raised toward God, and just not talking to Him, not doing the monologue, but allowing Him to have a dialogue with me. Turning it from a monologue into a dialogue. Mm-hmm. And basically what I do is I'll read a passage from Scripture, or maybe the Big Book, mm-hmm. or one of the other devotionals that I have, and I'll just focus on a sentence, a phrase, or a word, and try to let that sink into me. Let it just kind of chew on that for a while. I always like to point out to recovering alcoholics who think that they don't know how to meditate. I always ask them, do you know how to hold a resentment? And they all say, oh yeah, I know how to do that. Well, how do you do it? Well, I just think about what happened. I just keep on thinking and thinking and thinking and chewing that over in my mind and thinking about what they said to me that made me so mad. Uh-huh. And I said, well, if you know how to hold a resentment, then you know how to meditate. Mm-hmm. And they go, really? That's all it is? And I say, yes, that's all it is. You don't have to go to Tibet to learn how to meditate.
So meditation is letting go and letting God.
It's listening. I think, but he's saying you listen. It's a two-way street. It's not you just praying all the time and saying,
right.
give me this, give me this.
It's listening.
It's a, yeah.
Give God a chance to get His word in edgewise.
And when you hear God's word, how do you hear it?
I hear it inside me.
Like a conscience.
I hear it inside me. Yeah, I hear words that I know didn't come from my own mind. I'll give you an example. One time, I was feeling really grinchy in the evening at home, and my wife was doing stuff, and I went upstairs and I got on my knees and I said, God, would you please take away this crap that's in my mind right now? Just take this away. I don't want it. And His response to me was, why don't you go do the dishes for your wife? And I hate doing dishes. I didn't want to do the dishes, but I said, okay. And I went downstairs and I filled the dish pan and I started to, because we didn't have a working dishwasher at the time. And so I started doing dishes and I got them all done. And when I got all done, my whole attitude changed.
So was that time doing dishes meditation?
Not necessarily. I was just doing dishes, but what I learned is that when I ask God to do something for me, He asks me to do something. When I ask God to take an action in my life, He generally tells me to take an action. And it's usually always very mundane and very routine and very simple, and something that's well within my capability to do. And on that day, it was just doing the darn dishes for my wife. And so I did the dishes, and by the action of doing those for somebody else, my attitude got changed. And what I learned from that is when I'm feeling that way, the best thing I can do is go help somebody. Go do something for somebody else.
Okay.
That gets me out of me.
So how do you know? Now this is kind of deep, but how do you know if it's God talking to you, or if it's your conscience, or just your higher self, or is that all God?
I don't know if I have a higher self. Maybe I do. But what I've learned over the years is that God, when He speaks to us, it's easy to recognize His voice over my thoughts because He speaks with authority. Mm-hmm. I can always tell the difference between my thoughts and His thoughts.
Can you tell the difference between your thoughts and the accuser's thoughts? Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call him?
I believe a person can, because when the accuser speaks to me, he sounds like me.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So if I asked you, do you have a relationship with the accuser? How would you answer that?
I certainly try not to have a relationship with the accuser.
Mike D is my guest. 3 books. His first one, The Healing Rosary. Second, Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about the AA steps, specifically step 4.
Step 4.
Made a thorough cleansing and
Fearless and thorough moral inventory.
Fearless and moral inventory of ourselves. Thank you. You'd think after 1,955 days I'd remember that. You can contact him at mike.d.anonymous@gmail.com. mike.d.anonymous@gmail.com. And that's where you can reach out to him. His books are available on Amazon, or you can call him. And I would assume you're always willing to, maybe at a speaker meeting, come out and speak if you'd like.
At a speaker meeting? Yeah. Oh, yes. I love to speak.
Yeah, I'd love to tell your testimony.
Yeah.
Sober 27 years. What was the toughest thing you had to face that made you say, I got to quit this. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got to get sober. What was it 27 years ago that pushed you to that point?
What was it that made me want to get sober?
Yeah.
Yes, that's an easy question.
Oh, my.
Because you remember how I was telling you about how well alcohol worked for me?
Yeah, right.
Well, it stopped working.
And it did work well for you.
It did. It did.
But when you say it stopped working, you no longer had self-confidence. You didn't think you were the cutest guy in the room. You were not the life of the party.
Absolutely. It stopped killing my pain. And when alcohol stops working, when it stops killing your pain and masking it, it goes another step further after that. You might quit. You might keep on drinking when alcohol just stops working. You might keep on drinking. But what it started doing to me is it started to magnify my pain.
Yeah. Creating
it
more.
Multiplied it. Mm-hmm. And so, I wasn't getting any relief from staying sober, but I wasn't getting any relief when I drank. And so it was painful to drink, and it was painful to not drink, but it was more painful to drink because it was making it all worse. And I sat on the bed one night and I told my wife, I said, I'm just trapped. I don't know what to do. And I wasn't telling her this, but suicide was an option. Mm-hmm. Suicide really became an option. And she said, do you want to do something tonight? And I said, well, yeah, I got to do something about this because I just don't think I can stand it anymore. And she got me a bed in Powell.
And that's when they had inpatient.
Yes, I had a 28-day inpatient treatment at Powell, and it was fabulous.
I think it's real important for our listeners to hear what you just said, because if they aren't at that place yet, mm-hmm. if they continue drinking, that's where they're heading. Because when people are in that state where it's working for them, they think it's going to be like that forever. But you continue doing it, and it's a downward spiral.
Right.
It just if you have the alcoholic gene, that's where it's going.
Yeah.
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 And what if your wife had said to you, I'm not spending money on treatment? Oh, I think you can do this on your own. How long had you been married at that point?
Oh, gosh. In 1988, we'd probably been married only about 3.5 years, I suppose.
Was she sick and tired of it?
She was. My wife was getting upset with me being drunk all the time. But my wife went to Al-Anon even before I got sober.
Oh, good.
I didn't even know she was going to Al-Anon meetings. But one thing I have to tell you about my wife was bringing me shots of whiskey in the bathtub because I was asking for shots of whiskey, and she was bringing me shots of whiskey in the bathtub.
Did she realize the enabling she was doing, or did she just think,
no,
I don't want him getting out and getting water all over my floor?
No, she wasn't at the time, but she went to Al-Anon before I ever got sober.
How long before? Years?
No, not years. No, I think months.
How did that make you feel when you were drinking? Oh, you said you didn't know that she was going out.
I did not know.
Okay.
No, she never told me.
Yeah.
When did you find out?
I found out after I got sober. Okay. And then we were going to meetings. We were going to meetings where there was Al-Anon and AA in the same meeting place, you know. And
same time, right down the hall.
Right down the hall, yeah.
All right, Mike D is my guest. His third and latest, Basic Prayer and Simple Meditation. A recovering alcoholic talks about beginning spirituality. We'll talk about that spirituality when we come back. Live here on The Truth, powered by Webcast One Live.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do. What type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. At the top, I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. My guest today is Michael D. He's written 3 books. The first one was The Healing Rosary. Second, Letting God In. And third, Basic Prayer and Simple Meditation. A recovering alcoholic talks about beginning spirituality. Now, especially this last one, my guess is if I'm not an alcoholic or if someone's not an alcoholic, there's a lot in this book they can learn. Because everybody at some point needs to begin a spiritual program.
Exactly. You don't have to be a recovering alcoholic to develop a spiritual life.
And at Powell, one of the things that they teach is the importance of a spiritual life. I mean, it's in the steps, but they also further that. Now, let me ask the question. What's the difference between spirituality and religion?
I would say the difference between spirituality and religion is religion usually has a set of dogmatic doctrines that a creed that they believe. But of course, the word creed just means I believe.
Yeah, in fact, the creeds, the Apostles' Creed, the Nicene Creed, they're not even in the Bible.
No, but it's a set of it's a list of beliefs. I believe in this, and I believe in this, and I believe in this.
Yep.
And someone who says, "Well, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual." They have some things that they believe. They have some things. They may not believe in certain things, but they believe in other certain things.
Honest answer, not a rhetorical question. Tell me if you think this statement is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how correct is this statement?
Okay.
I practice my religion. I live spiritually.
Yes, I believe that's...
you can think about that. I know I'm throwing some stuff at you.
Yeah.
To me, religion is the act of doing something. I don't have to do anything to be spiritual. That's inside of me no matter what. It reminds me that I have something within me.
Yeah.
Where religion is something I have to do.
A call to action.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And if you disagree with that or you want to add to that, I'd certainly love to hear from you.
But whether you call it religion or spirituality, if you're going to live a spiritual life, you're called to action,
Yeah, that's true, too. That's true, too.
Yeah.
I mean, because whenever I'm talking to somebody and they use the R word, religious, religion, religiously, if it's spoken in spirituality sense, that's a red flag for me. Because I'm not a religious person. And I know that because I used to be a religious person. I had a religion. I was Episcopalian. I went to church almost every Sunday, wore my good Sunday clothes, put some money in the collection plate, only my tax and I know it. Relationship, there was no relationship.
Didn't really have a personal relationship.
No. Right. I had a relationship. I don't even know if I had a relationship with God. Certainly not like I have now.
Right. It's changed.
Yeah. But that back then, I talked to you about the voices in your head. See, I discovered the reason I call the other guy the accuser is because that's what he did to me.
Right.
The voice in my head, which for almost 50 years, Michael, almost 50 years, would say, I'm going to accuse you of not being a good enough father. I'm going to accuse you of not being a good enough dad. I'm going to accuse you of not being a good enough friend. And with that, I'm going to give you a whole plate of guilt and shame. And because I thought it was God telling me that, what do you do with it? What do you do with that guilt and shame? If God's given it to you,
Well,
Holy Toledo.
It hurts, and you got to cover it up. And you have a negative feeling about God if you believe it's God telling you all that.
Yeah.
I guess, wouldn't you?
Well, absolutely. And would you agree? I always hate to ask that question. Tell me. Well, I'm just going to ask it. Would you agree that guilt and shame doesn't come from God?
Guilt and shame does not come from God.
Right.
God does not want us walking around feeling ashamed and guilt, because my experience is that God doesn't want to do anything that hurts us, and he doesn't want us to do anything that hurts us. Guilt and shame hurts.
Yeah. Oh, man. That guilt and shame is at the center of every resentment, and every resentment is at the center of an alcoholic or any drug addict. Now, would you agree with that?
That guilt and shame?
Well, the guilt and shame, first of all, doesn't come from God.
Yeah. No, I don't think it
Okay. Is it something you manifest, or is it something that the accuser gives to you?
Well, Well, first of all, the difference between guilt and shame, shame is when something that somebody does to you, and then you become, it is what you think you are. And guilt is something that you've done yourself, and, feel guilty that you did it.
Can I feel guilty if no one says shame on you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Robert, how would you break that down?
Well, I mean, spiritually speaking, that's one thing that Holy Spirit could actually indicate to you when something you do is wrong, or indicate something you're doing is a sin. And so the Holy Spirit is what helps to guide us to live a moral life.
Now, that sounds like a conscience.
Well,
it's part of your conscience. I mean, and I think...
That's what I was saying before. Is your conscience then...
In the mic, please.
Is your conscience God?
Well, I think what Mike was saying is a matter of actually trusting that God is there for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you believe that, and you trust him. And so you're asking, and what I'm hearing from you is that you ask him when you have situations that you don't want yourself to deal with. You want a higher power, his power, to help you deal with the situation, because then you know it's going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, you want the Holy Spirit to guide you into doing what's right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I believe that guilt allows me to realize when I've done something wrong. It's my conscience at work saying, hey, you did something wrong. But shame is something completely different, because it says you are bad. There's nothing you can do to fix this. You're just bad.
That's not God.
But that's not God.
That's not God. It's usually other people in your family, whatever.
That's coming from somewhere else, but it's in my head.
Yes.
Nobody in my family might be telling me that I'm bad, but I'm telling me I'm bad, or somebody's telling me I'm bad.
All right, Mike D is my guest, and I don't want to get down an uncomfortable road here, but I ask you the question: do you have a relationship with the accuser? And you have the perfect answer. You certainly don't want to.
Right.
So when I choose to shame you, who is it that's shaming you? It's not God. So that's the accuser. That's the relationship that I have with him that somehow tells me it's okay to make somebody else feel bad. Because if they feel bad, then I can feel a little bit better about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I hope you guys at home heard that. That is huge. When you take the time to make somebody else feel bad, what more damaging thing can you do to someone? It's not a backhand across the face. That heals. That feeling of shame might never go away, especially for us alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
We'll carry that, and we call it resentments. It's in that nice little comfortable package called resentment.
Mm-hmm.
And we can carry that forever. The question I want you to ask yourself is, when you choose to make somebody else feel bad because of shame, where does that come from? It comes from evil. It comes from something even beyond you. You have opened a door and allowed the accuser to then use you, hijack you to hurt somebody else. We'll talk about that when we come back. Last break coming up live here on The Truth.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Welcome back. 10 minutes before the top of the hour here live on The Truth, 99.3, and of course, powered by webcast1live.com. Salem Radio Network News coming up. For those of you watching the podcast, we've had a few little challenges here today. Look at this. Had a few little challenges here today, and Frank is doing a spectacular job in figuring it out. Congratulations, Frank. He's a good guy. All right. Mike D. is my guest, 27 years sober. His first book was The Healing Rosary. Second book, Letting God In. One alcoholic talks to another about step 4. And then his latest book, Basic Prayer and Simple Meditation. You can get these on Amazon. You can go to your local bookstore and order them. If you'd like to talk to Mike, it's real easy. Mike.d.anonymous at gmail.com. Mike.d.anonymous at gmail.com. What was the question I wanted to ask you, or you said something?
Well, I was, during break, I was talking about when people are new to sobriety or new to recovery, they have a really hard time with spirituality or with a connection with God. And they want to accept everything in the program except that. And they, when you start using drugs or alcohol, it's very hard to take God down that path. So for some people who grew up with God, they kind of leave God back there so they can do what they want.
Okay, here's how messed up I am.
You took God with you.
I was never closer to God. You talked about you drank at home. Does that mean you also drank in private?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Isolated? Okay. I'd sit in my chair with my puppies on my lap, and the TV was on. I don't know if I was watching it. And I would actually connect spiritually to God during that time greater than I ever could while I was sober. Now, I don't know what's going on now because I'm connected to God all the time. I can't get away from him. I don't want to get away from him, but I can't get away from him. But
It's a different kind of connection now. I'll bet you anything.
Well, it's a much better connection. But I haven't figured out. Boy, this almost sounds blasphemous. I think God met me where I was at when I was drunk.
Yeah.
And he soothed me and constantly told me there was a better life and he'd be there when I wanted it. Not shame on you, there's a better life if you just listen to me and not drink.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it took me so long. I didn't start drinking until I was 34.
Oh, wow.
My previous high school, college, I had none of that. My first sip of beer, I spit it out and never drank it again. My parents, we had alcohol, beer, we had everything. I just wasn't interested. I worked in bars and nightclubs as a disc jockey. I wasn't interested. And then I lost my identity because my identity was in something other than Christ in 1994, and I started drinking. And it would seem that it was in those moments of quiet stupidness, if that's a word, that God and I would meet because he'd meet me where I was at because I hated it. I hated being drunk. I didn't enjoy getting drunk. I hated being drunk. I didn't like anything about drinking. But it was the only way to get away from this person that I had become.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was those quiet moments. I mean, Mike, I could almost cry. I can tell you, I can feel those moments in which God would crawl up on my lap, or maybe he'd pull me up on his lap, and he'd put my head on his bosom, and he'd say, "It's okay. It's okay." And he wouldn't tell me I was a bad man.
Right.
And he wouldn't tell me that drinking was bad. I knew it wasn't what he wanted for me. It took me a good year and a half of sobriety to find that spirituality that I have with him now. He was gone for a while. Now, I know he wasn't gone. I was gone. I couldn't find him in the comfortable place I had been.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really weird. It was really weird.
Yeah.
And I know there's some good Christians out there that think I'm just asinine by thinking that God comes to me and comforts me in the middle of my drunkenness. And I'm okay if you think that. I hold nothing against you for thinking that, because I think it sounds bizarre too.
Can I interrupt?
He does it all. I think he did that in the Bible with a lot of people. Not drunks necessarily, but people that were in the midst of trouble.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody in the Bible was a schmuck. David, Moses, everybody was a schmuck. There were no superstars in the Bible.
No, there are no superstars in the Bible.
There are no superstars. David was an adulteress, a murderer. Noah was a drunk. Moses doubted God.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, if there was ever a doubting Thomas, it was doubting Moses.
Yeah.
King Solomon, all of them. They were schmucks.
Yes, they were.
But they sought God all the time. What were you going to say?
I wanted to add something to what you were saying, and just to show you how messed up I am. I completely understood everything you said.
Yeah.
But one day I was working down in my little wood shop down in the basement, and I stopped and I had a little prayer break. And I heard these words: "When you were so sick, I was never closer to you." When you were so sick, I was never closer to you. And I understood that when a child is sick, the parents are always around, but the parents are at the bedside of the child when they're sick. And that's where God was, right at my bedside. And he was at yours too.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like God was with me when I was using.
Well, it's interesting.
But he was.
Yeah.
He was.
During those 16 years, and I was a nighttime drinker. I never drank in the morning. I may have had a Bloody Mary at noon 2 Saturdays a year. I was a 4:35, 5:30, hit it hard. And by 9 o'clock, I was blacked out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I didn't do bad things when I was under the influence. I did terrible things during the day when I was, quote, unquote, not under the influence. It seemed as if God crawled in and held me during those times and gave me incredible comfort.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's why guys like Mike write the book, because you hear about other people's spirituality and you kind of wonder where that is for you. And I don't know if there's anything in the Bible other than maybe Psalms that can really take us to that level of spirituality that one has in the midst of trouble.
You might be right.
Yeah. All right. We do this every week, brought to you the good folks at Powell. You've got a friend, 263-2424. Don't worry anymore. Do not worry anymore. Do you hear me? I'm going to say it again. Do not worry anymore about the loved one that you have that's suffering from drugs and alcohol. There's an answer. And it's not mystic. It's not expensive. And you do deserve it. And so do they. Call Powell, 263-2424. Lila, thanks for being here. See you next week. Robert Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. Thank you. Frank, thanks for doing such a good job producing. Mike, thank you for being here.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome anytime. I really love you. I appreciate your spirituality.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. And for those of you at home, if you've got something you've been looking to forgive, you just got to forgive it. You know that, don't you? It's just eating you up inside. And remember, as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. Jesus loves you. I promise. I'll see you at church.